Hi, and welcome back to the action this afternoon with the second block of men's 1,000 meters here on this Saturday at the Olympic Oval finale. We just missed the first quartet. That was quartet number 21, pairs 41 and 42. Fastest time of the bunch was Zhu Chenlong from China, 1:12.75. He was paired with Eric Spence, who skated a 1:16.98. Li Haolun in the second pair raced a 1:14.13. He was beat by Robin Grubin with a 1:14.03. As our next pair is quickly underway, this is Rick Van Hemert in the inner lane from the Netherlands and Jonah Utsubies in the outer lane from Ontario. Starting behind them is Steve Smeichel from the United States and Jumu Hara from Japan. Opening splits, Jumu Hara's fastest split of the quad, 17:35. Utsubies and Smeichel both in the high 17s. As we look at the first lap times, Rick Van Hemert, 27:2, 27:4 for Utsubies. And let's see the first lap times for Jumu Hara. 27:2 for him. Smeichel, 27:2. So Smeichel perhaps catching up as Rick Van Hemert will take the first race. 1:13.71 his final time. 1:14.87 for Jonah Utsubies. As Jumu Hara comes around the outside, he's still leading that pair. 1:14.29 his final time. 1:14.58 for Steve Smeichel. That was our 22nd quartet. We will have 39 total quartets racing. Coming up, quartet number 23, Adrian Hanigan in the inner lane from Alberta, Martin Sorslet from Norway in the outer. And Hanigan and Sorslet are underway and into the first corner. Hanigan got the better of Sorslet yesterday. Let's see if Sorslet can turn that around today. As Hanigan opens 17-6, 18-2 for Sorslet. So starting behind Adrian Hanigan and Martin Sorslet are Cody Miller and Tyler Hartleb. They're through their first 200 meters. Cody Miller's opening split, 17-6, 18-6 for Hartleb. So Miller on pace with Adrian Hanigan right now. As our first pair is now on their bell lap. 27-4 was Hanigan's split time. 28-0 for Sorslet. As Miller and Hartleb now on their last lap. 27-7 for Miller, 27-6 for Hartleb. As Hanigan leads the way, and he will win his pair. Final time, 1:14.36, 1:15.61 for Sorslet. As Miller and Hartleb are now in the last corner, Miller slipping out, almost going down. That might have cost him the race, as Hartleb takes it 1:15.80, 1:15.97 for Cody Miller. As we await the start of our next quartet, Adrian Hanigan, Garrett Gledhill and Paul Tremblay up first. Right after them, Stan Van Huysen and Sondre Glesna. So a false start in the inner lane of the second pair for not coming to the start line fast enough. As Stan Van Huysen slow to the line, charged with the false start. As Gledhill and Tremblay are underway. Into the corner, Garrett Gledhill and Paul Tremblay. They will build out of that corner. Opening split 17-7 for Gledhill. Tremblay 18-5. As the second pair of this quartet is now underway, Stan Van Huysen and Sandra Glesna. And they are neck and neck through 200. 18-4 for Van Huysen. Glesna 18-7. As Gledhill and Tremblay are now on the bell lap. 27-7 is the first 400-meter time for Garrett Gledhill. Tremblay 28-1. As Sandra Glesna struggling to hold his feet, and he goes down. So Sandra Glesna is down in the corner as the first pair of Gledhill and Tremblay will finish up. Gledhill's final time, 1:14.93. Tremblay, 1:16.68. Van Huysen is going to finish on his own here. His final time, 1:15.19. As Sandra Glesna, who went down from the outer lane, feet first into the mats, is now receiving medical attention. So we will have a delay now as we make sure that Sandra Glesna is okay. So in that last pair, Sandra Glesna with one lap to go, falling from the outer lane into the mats. He's receiving medical attention now on the ice. We'll update you with further information when and if we have it. So Sandra Glesna sitting up by the mats. He is up and talking to our medical personnel. His coach is there with him as well. And it looks like he will get up and is on his feet. He is slowly skating away. Our emergency medical personnel were only meters away from where he fell. Sandra Glesna is back on his feet and skating away. We hope he is okay as our next group of skaters prepares at the start line. This is Nicholas Turo from the United States and Caleb Hovey from Ontario. And they false started. So a slightly longer delay here. Looks like that was the inner lane. Nicholas Turo false starting. Both skaters have to be careful the next false start. will get them disqualified. So Turo from the US, Hovey from Ontario. They're underway now in their first 200 meters. They will be followed by Hongli Wang from China and Dawson O'Brien from Alberta. Dawson O'Brien yesterday skated a 1:16.52. He'll be looking to improve upon that today. As Turo opens 17.5, almost 2 seconds up on Caleb Hovey. Turo looking strong, heading into his last lap. This is Nicholas Turo's lap time, 27.87, 27.86, 28.71 for Caleb Hovey. So Turo well over the top of his pair. And he will skate into the final corner in the inner lane, right to the line. Those legs are hurting. And he will cross his final time, 1:16.10. Hovey, 1:17.97. As the second pair of that quad comes up, they likely false started. This is Hongli Wang from China in the inner lane and Dawson O'Brien from Alberta in the outer. Wang and O'Brien underway now. 1,000 meters to skate, 1 kilometer, 2.5 laps. Wang is out to an early lead. His opening split, 17.8, 18.4. Wang losing his balance for a moment. He's back together. He still carries a lead into this corner. When he comes out, they will have 400 meters left. Hongli Wang, lap time 26.6. And he's still looking strong leading into this last lap. Dawson O'Brien, 28.1. Always telling to see a skater's body language on their last lap of the 1,000. Are their shoulders slumped, legs dragging, or are they gritting their teeth and getting it done? Hongli Wang got it done, 1:12.40, his final time. Dawson O'Brien will finish at 1:16.87. Up next, pairs 51 and 52 in quartet number 26. There are a total of 39 quartets coming up. This is Matthew Laxton from Ontario in the inner lane and Hunter Hewlett from Alberta, or from Manitoba in the outer. Starting behind them, a solo skater, Bruno Olivier Brabant in the inner lane. Thomas Van Dyke, a scratch. Opening 200 splits, 18.2 for Laxton. Hewlett, 18.3. As those skaters hit the high-speed second corner of the 1,000 meter. Brabant trying to get it going. His opening split, 18.05. As Matt Laxton and Hunter Hewlett neck and neck. Their lap times 28.1 for Laxton, Hewlett 28.4. As Matt Laxton going over the top of his pair on the final lap, chewing him up and spitting him out. Matt Laxton coming to the finish. His final time, 1:15.96. Hunter Hewlett, 1:18.07. As Bruno Olivier Brabant on his last lap now as well. Can he keep this last lap under 40 seconds? Brabant to the line. Under 30 seconds, sorry. 30.49. 1:16.80, his final time. Up next, 4 more skaters in the first pair from Norway in the inner lane. It's Sander Michelson. In the outer lane from BC, Eric Orlowski. Half a lap later, they're followed by 2 Manitoba skaters. Sorry, 1 Manitoba skater, John Hrinchuk, and from Alberta, Jack Dybert. Sander Michelson, Eric Orlowski on the line. 2.5 laps to skate. The strategy, go all out and hang on for dear life. As Sander Michelson opening quick on that inner lane. He's taking an early lead. His opening split, 17-3, 18-4 for Orlowski. As our second pair is now underway, this is Hrinchuk and Dybert. John Hrinchuk, 18-0, 18-2 for Dybert. As our first pair now on their final lap, they get a shot of John Hrinchuk and Jack Dybert on this backstretch. Close race between those two. Dybert coming on strong. As Michelson and Orlowski coming on their last lap. They are on the last corner. Michelson, off the strength of his start, had a lead, but Orlowski's coming on strong. This will be a close finish. Michelson takes it, 1:16.14, 1:16.46 for Eric Orlowski. Here comes Jack Dybert. He has a second or two on John Hrinchuk. His final time, 1:13.79. That's quick. 1:15.53 for Hrinchuk. Up next, Joshua Taliesin from BC in the inner lane. He's racing Christian Arlt from Germany in the outer. Starting behind them, Sam Pollock and Mark Golden, both from Alberta. Taliesin with the white armband, Arlt with the red armband, Pollock with the yellow armband, Golden with the blue. As this race is now underway, Joshua Taliesin leading the way in the inner lane. His opening split, 18-2, 18-8 for Christian Arlt. Sam Pollock and Mark Golden underway as well. Sam Pollock off to an early jump. His opening split, 18-4, 19-2 for Mark Golden as they hit that second corner. Mark Golden skating a little off the blocks. As our first pair comes through, their lap times, 28-2 for Arlt, Taliesin 28-4. So Arlt setting himself up for a big draft on this backstretch. And Sam Pollock racing ahead of Mark Golden. Lap time 27-4. 28-8 for Mark Golden. This looks like Joshua Taliesin is going to take this race. His final time, 1:15.99, 1:17.05 for Arlt. Sam Pollock and Mark Golden now on their final leg of the race. Here comes Pollock, 1:15.17, his final time. Golden in behind him, 1:17.84. And we are on to the next quartet. These are pairs 57 and 58. Caleb Mueller from Alberta in the inner lane. He's racing Ian Ansell from the United States in the outer. This is a long sprint here for both skaters. Christian Leipzig and Mark Canvin starting behind them. Both of those skaters from Manitoba. Their coach, Tyler Darrow, surely telling them to stay low, stay strong, focus on their race and their technique. Caleb Mueller's opening split, 18-1, 18-2 for Ansel. As they cross over in the backstretch. Here's Leipzig and Canvin. Leipzig taking that opener by a second, 18 flat. 19 flat for Canvin. As Leipzig pulls through his first lap time, 27-8. 28-4 for Canvin. Mueller and Ansel are on their final corner. Here it comes Caleb Mueller, his final time, 1:13.78, and he pumps his fist. 1:19.15 for Ian Ansel. And Leipzig and Canvin finishing up now. Leipzig has the lead in the second pair. His final time, 1:15.24. Mark Canvin, 1:17.02. Ten pairs remaining. 20 pairs remaining, sorry. 10 quartets remaining. This is quartet number 30 of 39. Ian Smibert in the inner lane. Bjornar Borgesen of Norway in the outer. And Smibert in the inner lane. False starting, so the white flag has gone up. False start, inner lane for Ian Smibert. In the pair following Smibert and Borgesen, we have Jan van der Stouw from the Netherlands and Tom Kaiser from BC. And those skaters are underway. Ian Smibert in the inner lane, Borgesen on the outer. Opening split, 18-9 for Smibert, 19-1 for Borgesen. So Smibert off to an early lead. As our second pair is underway now. This is Van der Stouw and Kaiser. They are neck and neck. 18-6 for Van der Stouw. Tom Kaiser, 19-1. As Smibert and Borgesen will come around with one lap to go. Great shot on that backstretch of Van der Stouw and Kaiser. Smibert's opening lap time, 28-4, 29-0 for Borgesen. As Jan van der Stouw pulling ahead of his pair. 28.5 his lap time, 29.1 for Kaiser. And into the final straightaway is Bjornar Borgeson, finishing with a final time of 1:17.61, 1:19.01 for Borgeson. Second pair is now on their last corner, as Jan van der Stouw will skate across the line. His final time, 1:17.12, 1:18.92 for Tom Kaiser, who looks excited about that one. Good times all around for all four skaters. As we move on to Quartet 31, this is Matthias Nageli from Switzerland in the inner lane, and Jordan Bertignoli from Alberta in the outer. Starting behind them is Joshua Hathaway from Alberta and Noah Bauma from Ontario. Our first pair is underway. Nageli and Bertignoli off to the races. Matthias Nageli's time yesterday was a 1:17.75. Today, his opening split, 18.6, 18.2 for Bertignoli. Hathaway and Bauma through their first 200 now. Both skaters 18.9 on their openers. So Bertignoli takes the first lap, 27.0. He's pulled ahead of Matthias Nageli. 28.3 was Nageli's lap time, as Hathaway and Bauma now into their final lap. Hathaway with a slight lead. 28.6 his lap. 28.9 for Bauma. As Jordan Bertignoli finishes ahead of Nageli, 1:13.33, 1:16.64 for the Swiss skater. As Hathaway and Bauma now coming to the line. Hathaway is going to take this one. 1:17.23 his time. Noah Bauma, 1:18.88. As our next quartet gets organized up at the start line. They looked a little mixed up. They found the right lanes now. This is Max Brandt from Ontario in the inner lane and Victor Vandenhoff from the Netherlands in the outer. In the second pair, we have Hobbs Holzer and Kieran Bovington. As these guys get underway in the inner lane, that's Max Brandt off to an early lead. Split time, 18.6 for Brandt. Vanderhoff, 19.8. As Holzer and Bovington are underway now. Holzer leads the way, 18.6, 18.9 for Bovington. As Brandt and Vanderhoff will come around. One lap remaining for them. Hobbs Holzer, Kieran Bovington changing lanes for the first time. They'll do that again on the next lap. Brandt's opening lap time, 29.0, 29.5 for Vandenhoff. Holzer racing ahead, 28.88 his lap time, 29.42 for Bovington. As Max Brandt will take the first race, 1:18.10, 1:19.60 for his Dutch team, or sorry, his Dutch competitor. as Holzer will win the second race, kicking the line. 1:18.11. Bovington 1:19.82. Holzer should be cautious. Kicking the line in the air like that can result in disqualification, as Bovington pumping his fist behind the action there. He was happy with that race. Up next in Quartet 33, Zachary Lacroix from Alberta in the inner lane, and Matthew Scutchings from Saskatchewan in the outer. Starting behind them, Kumin from Alberta and Randy Platt from Manitoba. Neck and neck for Lacroix and Scutchings through their opening 200, leading the way. 18-4. That's the fastest opener of the bunch. And he goes down on that inner lane. Randy Platt continuing on his own for the rest of this race. Kumin luckily had a lead over Randy Platt. Didn't take out the master skater, as Lacroix and Scutchings still skating. 29.9 was Scutchings' lap time. 30.2 for Lacroix. They are neck and neck heading into this last corner. Who has the legs to close out this race? Is it Lacroix or Scutchings? Scutchings pulling ahead. He will finish with a final time of 1:20.76. 1:21.25 for Lacroix, as Randy Platt will come around his final corner on the outer lane. Kumin fell on the second corner, as Randy Platt will finish up. 1:20.99. And so we will have a brief delay now for ice repair. So our next group of skaters will have to hold as our ice crew fixes up any gouges carved in the ice. Kumin going down from that inner lane. Big trail of snow as he went down, meaning he dug his blade into the ice. Fine looking gentleman patching up that ice down there. A few big divots left over from that crash. Up next in Quartet 34, we have Tjard Kopka from Germany and Antoine Parent from Quebec. They'll be followed by Vaughn Thibault from Alberta and Ryan Dodick from Alberta. As you see these guys, professionals at work, flash freezing the ice, the fire extinguisher. As the next racers patiently await their turn to skate for a PB here at the Oval Finale. Competition ends tomorrow. That is the end of the competition, but also the end of the competitive speed skating season. The ice goes out of the oval on Monday. They host some different events in here, volleyball tournaments and car shows, using the large convention space when there's no ice. Ice will be back around June, a little earlier than usual because it is an Olympic season. As these guys are doing extensive repairs, massive divots carved into the ice by Kumin when he fell. Sunday night, there's also the official Oval Finale after party. Always an interesting time. Usually responsible speed skaters let their hair down for a night. But I'm getting ahead of myself here a little. Lots of racing to come. More men's 1,000 meters after this ice is fixed. We will have 6 more 1,000-meter quartets for men. Then a short break, followed by the 1,000-meter for ladies. 26 quartets of ladies 1,000 meters. A reminder to tweet at the Olympic Oval or Instagram at the Olympic Oval. Hashtag finally finale to see your picture up on the webcast. You could also win a sweet prize. Finale is a fun competition for all athletes. Not only is the ice usually quick, they set up a athletes fun zone with foosball and ping pong, air hockey as well. Skaters do not have many opportunities to play arcades between races. As we are now finally ready to go with our next quartet. This is quartet number 34 of 39. Jared Kopka starting in the inner lane from Germany. Antoine Parent from Quebec in the outer lane. Starting behind them is Vaughn Thibault from Alberta. Ryan Dodick, also from Alberta. As Parent leads the way through 200 meters, his opening split 19-0. 1981 for Kopka. Parent setting himself up for a big draft on that backstretch as Thibault and Dodick come through. Dodick leading the way. 18-7, 19-1 for Thibault. So Dodick also setting himself up for a big draft on this backstretch. As the bell rings for our first pair, Parent and Kopka, 29-2 for Kopka. 29-9 for Parent, so Parent is still in the lead, but Kopka is gaining quick. Thibault pulling ahead of Dodick. 29-9 is Thibault's lap time. Dodick, 31-5. As Tjard Kopka completes the comeback at the finish line, his final time, 1:19.44. Antoine Parent, 1:20.55. And Vaughn Thibault and Ryan Dodick are now in their final corner. They will finish up this 1,000-meter race. Thibault, his final lap, the final time, 1:21.14, 1:23.21 for Ryan Dodick. Up next, 4 more skaters. Anders Johnson from BC in the inner lane. He's racing Salo Spetter from the Netherlands. Starting right behind them, Robert Gaudreau from Ontario and Roman Lobhan from Germany. And after a very short delay, it looks like we are ready to go They'll be called to the line. Johnson and Spetter, the two skaters, first up. And they're off. Anders Johnson in the inner lane with a quick start. And he's into the corner first as he exits this corner in through his first 200 meters. Opening split 18.7, 21.64 for Spetter. Our second pair is underway now as well. This is Robert Gaudreau and Roman Lobhan. Gaudreau in the inner lane taking the opener. His first 200 meter time, 20.21. 21.61 for Lobhan. Robert Gaudreau wearing an Ottawa Pacers skin suit. Long-standing club out of the Ottawa region. As he enters that outer corner. 1 lap remaining as they come around this turn. Anders Johnson and Shallow Spetter are nearing the finish now. Johnson's lap time was a 29.2, Spetter 31.7 as Johnson comes down the finish. To the line, his final time, 1:18.97. Salo Spetter at the line, his time, 1:26.28. As Gaudreau is into the final corner now. He will finish up with a time of 1:23.45. Lobhan 1:29.21. So 2 Albertan skaters here, Bob Irvine and Oliver Bath, wearing matching Canadian Masters skin suits. Starting behind them, Thomas Graham and Nick Guerrero. And in the inner lane, that's Bob Irvine leading the way, and a false start in our second pair. So Bob Irvine and Oliver Bath will finish this one on their own. 19.6. Opening split for Irvine. Bath, 20.8. Good aggressive skating for Bob Irvine. Down this backstretch into the back corner. And into the final lap now is Bob Irvine. Bath behind him. Irvine's lap time, 30.3. Bath, 32.9. As Bob Irvine has half a lap to go. The hardest part of the 1,000 meter, the last 200. Right now for Bob Irvine, finishing on the inner. Oliver Bath will finish on the outer. As he comes to the line, Irvine's final time, 1:22.12. Bath, 1:28.76. We're now looking at the second pair of that quartet. There was a false start when they tried to go, so they were held till the first pair finished. This is Thomas Graham and Nick Guerrero, both skaters from Alberta. Graham in the inner lane with the yellow armband, Guerrero in the outer with the blue. Like a plum, yellow on the inside, blue on the outside. As these skaters try to pick up their speed. Here's Graham opening 200. His split time 19.2, 20.3 for Guerrero. As Thomas Graham has the lead. His lap time 30.6, 30.5 for Guerrero. So Guerrero's gaining as Thomas Graham goes over the top. Does Guerrero have enough juice to come around the outside at the finish? As Thomas Graham, with the early lead, will finish off and win this race. Skating to the line, here's Thomas Graham, his final time, 1:22.26. 1:24.23 for Nick Guerrero. Three quartets remaining of men's 1,000 meters. Up next, Gabriel Quan and Tim Bushell, both from Alberta. They will be followed in the second pair by Isaiah Jesse Uribe and Robert Black. Uribe is from BC, Black all the way from Australia. As these two are off into the first corner, building up to pace in this short 1,000-meter race. Their opening splits. Quan in the inner lane taking the first 200, 19.3 his opener, 21.8 for Bushell. Jesse Uribe winning the opener in the second pair, 19.2, 21.2 for Robert Black. As we see Tim Bushell hitting that quick inner with 1 lap to go in that first pair. Jesse Uribe leading the way in the second pair. This is Gabriel Quan around his second last corner. He gets to finish on the inner. His first lap time, a respectable 31.75. Tim Bushell, 33.1. Isaiah Jesse Uribe and Robert Black keeping pace with Gabriel Quan. We'll see how well these guys finish up their last lap. Quan will finish his final time, 1:25.46, 1:28.91 for Bushell. And here comes our second pair. Jesse Uribe to the line. His final time, 1:24.35. He nips Quan at the line, 1:26.44 for Black. Up next, quad 38. Second last quad for the men's 1,000 meter. First pair of this quad features Mircea Vrencanu from Germany and Twan den Braber from the Netherlands. Starting right behind them, Brynjulf Makestad and Brett Arneson. As Vancano and Den Braber in their first 200 meters. Opening split of 20.7 for Vancano. Den Braber 22.6. As Makestad And Arneson underway now. On that backstretch, Milkea Brandanu opening up a gap on Den Braber. This is Makestad in the inner lane. 20.1 his opening time. That's the fastest of this quad. 21.6 for Arneson. Will Makestad carry that speed to the line? As Vancanu and Den Braber are now on their last lap. Makestad leading Brett Arneson with 1 lap to go for our second pair. Half a lap for the first pair. This is Mircea Vancanu from Germany, who will drive to the line. He's in a tight race with Brynjulf Makestad, 125.50. Here comes Den Braber, 130.57. So how will Brynjulf Makestad finish up? Can he catch Vancanu? His final time, 125.93, just missing Vancanu's time as Brett Arneson comes across, 131.71. Up next, our final official quad of men's 1,000 meter at this finale competition. In the first pair, a solo skater. This is Donnie Rinchuk in the inner lane. Donnie Rinchuk, master skater from Alberta. Starting behind him will be another solo skater in the outer lane. This is Daniel Yao from Australia. We had Akash Aradhya scratch. So the odd scene of 2 pairs skating at once, only 1 skater in each one. Donnie Hrinnick, his opening 200, 21.3. As Daniel Yao gets his speed going, skating through the first 200. Opening split 18.6 for Daniel Yao. Strategy in the 1,000 meters to go out as fast as you can. That first lap is often the fastest lap any of these skaters will ever hit. As Hrinnick has 1 lap remaining, his lap time 33.23. Daniel Yao now onto his last lap. 29.18 his lap time. As Hrinnick's on the backstretch now, 200 meters to go for him. Fighting the lactic, Donnie Hrinnick will come to the line and kick his final time, 1:29.22. Daniel Yao will finish with a final time of 1:18.98. And that wraps up our official pairs of men's 1,000s. We will have 1 more pair. This is an out-of-competition race. Two skaters in this one. So we wait a moment as they reset the timing system. Way back, just after 9 a.m., Sword de Vries skated the fastest 1,000 time of the morning with a 1:07.61. Mikael Mulder, 1:08.13. Chris Fiola was the fastest Canadian with a 1:08.47. We are now on to our final pair here. This is Boris Lykin in the inner lane. And a bit of confusion at the start. Steve Jaconiak perhaps didn't hear the starters' calls. So this is Lycan and Jaconiak. Jaconiak false started. They will try again. Underway safely. Boris Lycan and Steve Jaconiak out of competition race. 1,000-meter. And it's tight so far through the first 200. Lycan with a slight lead, 19.4 his opener, 19.6 for Jaconiak. The two American skaters dueling it out here over 1 kilometer as they reach the backstretch, crossing over, changing lanes. Both skaters swinging that one arm, looking really aggressive. As Boris Lycan expanding his lead, his split time, 29.9 is his lap time, just under 30 seconds. 30.9 for Jaconiak. And Steve Jaconiak will go over the top of his pair with half a lap remaining for these two master skaters. Boris Lycan into the final corner. Jaconiak, hands on his knees. As Boris Lycan will finish up with a final time of 1:21.27, 1:25.23 for Steve Jaconiak. And we actually have one more pair of out of competition racing. This is Ard Navin and Henrik Glesna. Navin from the Netherlands, Henrik Glesna from Norway. These two were paired off this morning in the out of competition 500 meter. As we see the sun pouring into the oval from outside. Beautiful day here in Calgary. As Ard Navin will take the opening 200 split, 19.7, 20.0 for Henrik Glesna. As they come around the halfway point of this race. Ard Navin expanding his lead into the outer lane. One lap to go. Bell lap for Henrik Glesna and Ard Navin. Navin's lap time, 29.94. Glesna, 31.95. So what did these guys save for the last lap? Here comes Ard Navin into the inner lane. Both skaters still moving their feet fairly well. As Ard Navin will skate right to the line, his final time, 1:21.20. And Henrik Glesna, 1:25.66, and he's happy with that. Big fist pump. And now that was the final 1,000-meter race of the weekend for the men. Stay tuned for the ladies 1,000 meter coming up soon. A reminder to tweet or Instagram at the Olympic Oval, hashtag finally finale.